Chapter 289. There were all kinds of strange scenes in the hidden dragon's secret realm. Some were catastrophic, some were picturesque, some were calm, some were moving, and some were never seen or heard before. For example, the dark mentality of Murong Qingqing's martial art, where the power field was everywhere, and the universe was reversed. Once one entered it, one would not be able to tell north from south at all. Only Murong Qingqing would be able to benefit from it. Yi Chen had not gained nothing either. In the scene where movement and stillness were combined, his fast sword poetic perspective and slow sword poetic perspective had both improved, especially the slow sword poetic perspective, which had finally reached a higher level. In terms of battling, it was not that much weaker than the fast sword poetic perspective. Unfortunately, the poetic perspective in the hidden dragon's secret realm was still not enough for him to learn more. Whoosh! With a strike of the sword light could not be seen, but the surging river water was severed. Stepping on the river, Yi Chen thrust out his sword again. This time, it was surprisingly slow. The thrust of the sword combined with the countercurrent of air, so slow that it made people want to vomit blood. With a swoosh, the majestic reef in the river was pierced through by the sword and slowly sank. Look, there's another staircase leading down here. At this time, a few of the younger generation who were walking in front said. Everyone followed the voice and looked over. In their sight, there was a long staircase leading to the next level. The entire hidden dragon secret realm was like a terraced field, with each level connected to the next. However, this terraced field had been magnified countless times. Without reaching the edge, it would be hard to notice. The next test should be even more difficult. Just the first level of the hidden realm had already eliminated more than 10 members of the younger generation. It was hard to imagine how many more would be eliminated in the second level. Who cares? We can't possibly waste our time on the first level. The young generation who could be ranked in the hidden dragon rank were all people with extremely strong minds. After being slightly surprised, none of them took it seriously. The scenery on both sides of the staircase was beautiful, and the airflow was gentle. Walking on it was like bathing in the spring breeze, and one's mood was exceptionally comfortable. As Yi Chen observed the surrounding scenery, he thought to himself, if I'm not mistaken, the hidden dragon mystery realm should be an illusory realm. It's an illusory realm that combines many artistic conceptions. Perhaps this illusion was recreated based on the real scene, making it hard for people to distinguish between reality and illusion. Thinking about that, Yi Chen was shocked. He wondered who had created the hidden dragon's secret realm, which was both real and fake at the same time. The poetic perspectives contained in it were uncountable. Ah! At the end of the stairs, a young warrior was blown away by the wind. He was teleported out of the hidden dragon's secret realm. This was the concept of wind. The concept of wind was even more terrifying than the first level. What followed was a sudden tide, drowning the three dumbfounded youngsters. The huge mountain that appeared in the water knocked away a few youngsters who were nearby. The speed was so fast that they didn't even have time to react. The intent realm has increased in speed. Yi Chen was deep in thought. Normally, a martial artist needed a suitable time to comprehend a state. When the suitable time was shortened, it would be a test of a person's perception and reaction speed. Gotcha. When Yi Chen arrived at the second level, the sky suddenly darkened. Dark clouds roiled and lightning flashed as a terrifying gale swept down with an astonishing aura. Concept of cloud, concept of thunder, concept of wind. On the first floor, there had never been a scene where the three concepts were combined. Who would have thought that it would appear on the second floor? Among the younger generation, those who had comprehended one of the concepts had already taken out their weapons, fighting against the wild winds and thunder. As for the concept of cloud, it was no longer an attack. One had to comprehend it on their own. The difficulty was much higher than the concept of thunder and the concept of wind. Chin. His sword light flashed as Yi Chen threw out a sword attack, shattering the incoming thunder light. Sky-shattering clouds. Without activating his sword intent, Yi Chen used his pure sky-shattering clouds sword movement to face the crazy storm and thunder. Every single sword attack was deadly, and it was getting more and more intense. Boom! A thunderous sound was heard as 100-meter-long, half-meter-thick thunder light struck down. The thunder light was narrow and sharp, like a twisted great weapon. It was unstoppable. Some of the young warriors who had comprehended the concept of thunder were hit by the aftershock of the thunder light. They were all thrown into the surreal space and teleported out of the hidden dragon's secret realm. Break. The poetic perspective of thunder and clouds evolved to its limit. Yi Chen threw out a sword attack to face the incoming attack. With a swoosh, Yi Chen was forced back for a couple of steps, and the thunder light disappeared. Such a dominating poetic perspective of thunder. Yi Chen's poetic perspective of thunder existed to support the poetic perspective of clouds. It was not pure, and it did not need to be pure. When it clashed with the real poetic perspective of thunder, he immediately felt that his own poetic perspective of thunder had been greatly suppressed, and it would shatter at the first touch. In the end, it was the poetic perspective of clouds that contained this poetic perspective of thunder, combining it with his own poetic perspective of thunder. Once the poetic perspective of thunder became stronger, the poetic perspective of thunder and clouds improved as well, becoming more complete. After absorbing the poetic perspective of thunder, Yi Chen raised his head, looking at the dark clouds. He thought to himself, I should learn a bit of the poetic perspective of clouds first. The essence of the poetic perspective of thunder and clouds is still the poetic perspective of clouds. The poetic perspective of clouds was vague and hard to learn. However, it was also the source of the power of the poetic perspective of thunder. If he did not solve the problem of the poetic perspective of clouds, it would be hard for the poetic perspective of thunder and clouds to improve. He waved out his sword attack, and the sword light was like thunder, shooting into the dark clouds. Pap! Pap! The dark clouds rolled up, and the thunder light shone in the cracks, looking like countless thunder snakes, swimming and playing. There was an indescribable murderous vibe in that nimble movement. While Yi Chen was learning the poetic perspective of clouds, the others were not idling around either. They all performed their best to fight against the poetic perspectives. The poetic perspectives that Xikong Sheng was fighting against were the poetic perspective of earth and wind. The poetic perspective of earth was contained in the mysterious sky tyrant fist art, while the sky expelling palm art was the poetic perspective of wind. Yan Qihua was fighting against the poetic perspective of earth and fire. Li Daoxian was fighting against the poetic perspective of wind and the sharp and aggressive metal. Murong Qingcheng was fighting against the poetic perspective of darkness and chaos. As for Su Jing's poetic perspective, it was a bit weird. It was a series of different forms of power, vibrating, penetrating, lifting something heavy as if it were light, and lifting something light as if it were heavy. If one were to describe it in one word, it would be the poetic perspective of power. It was an extremely pure poetic perspective, and also a necessary one. Most of the poetic perspectives would contain the poetic perspective of power, but there was no need to learn it specifically, because there was no way to learn it. Only Su Jing could separate the poetic perspective of power and form it into her own poetic perspective. The dark clouds above his head disappeared, and the thunder light faded away. Yi Chen let out a breath. His poetic perspective of clouds had finally reached the next level. Right now, he already had the poetic perspective of combining the 6 movements of the sky cloud sword art. The only thing he was missing was to combine the 6 movements into one, which would be the sky-shattering clouds. Looking around, Yi Chen realized that there were less than 40 people left. Adding the people who had been eliminated in the first level, there were more than 30 people left. Pap! The thunder-like sword light cracked the ground open. Yi Chen put his sword back into its scabbard, its sharp light completely gone. A few people nearby were secretly shocked. They had just been battling with Yi Chen, but the difference was that Yi Chen had been battling with the poetic perspective of clouds and thunder, while they had been battling with the poetic perspective of wind. During the battling process, they had finally witnessed the power of Yi Chen's sword arts from a close distance. The dark clouds in the sky had been shattered by him, and it was already quite difficult for them to fight against the wind together. Whoosh! On the other side, Yan Qihua had lifted up his blade and waved out a straight red flame light. Wherever the flame light reached, the ground cracked open. No one knew if it was intentional, but the red flame light was attacking towards Yi Chen's direction. The blade aura was aggressive, as if it was about to devour someone. A poetic perspective of an erupting volcano was contained within it. The combination of the poetic perspective of earth and the poetic perspective of fire is not bad. Unfortunately, I am not standing still either. Yi Chen did not back out. He put his right hand on the hilt of his sword, slightly pulling out his star scar sword. He released the poetic perspective of thunder and clouds, attacking towards the flame along with the sharp sword qi. Swoosh! The flame light was extinguished, disappearing completely. The remaining power of the thunder sword qi had not disappeared yet. It had forced Yan Qihua to back out dozens of steps, which had taught him a decent lesson. Yan Qihua's expression froze. He thought that his poetic perspective of earth and fire had improved a lot, and he had been able to get through all the difficult parts without any obstacles. He was planning to compete with Yi Chen for the poetic perspective, but he did not expect that Yi Chen had made even more progress than him. Before his sword had even been completely pulled out of its scabbard, Yi Chen had already forced him to back out. The good thing was that it was just a pure poetic perspective competition. If he used all of his power, Yi Chen's 70% sword intent would probably kill him within a second. Li Daoxian shook his head. Within a short period of time, he did not want to compete with Yi Chen anymore. Although Yan Qihua was very powerful, he still had a long way to go before he could catch up with Yi Chen. After the small interlude, the rest of the people walked towards the third level of the secret realm. The third level of the secret realm did not have any sudden incidents. It seemed to be very quiet. However, the quieter it was, the more nervous the people were. The unknown was always scary. There was a tall mountain nearby, and a heavy wind was blowing on top of it, sharp like blades. A few of them wanted to go up and observe. However, none of them managed to do so, as they were all teleported out by the wind. After that, the others also knew that this level was for them to find their own poetic perspectives, so they went their separate ways. Yi Chen had only walked a few steps before he saw that the young warriors who were not even 40 years old had been reduced by a third again. Moreover, there were people being teleported out every second. Shaking his head, he walked towards a valley in the distance. There was a lake in the valley, with green lotuses growing on top of it. They varied in size, with the largest being almost 3 meters long, and the smallest being as wide as a basin. The lake was calm without any ripples, reflecting the surrounding scenery. Yi Chen did not suspect anything, so he walked towards it. Shoo! The green lotus that was closest to the lake suddenly turned into sword qi and shot over. The sword qi was sharp and unstoppable, like an extremely powerful sword art. And, the one who had performed the sword art was indeed the lake. Yi Chen activated his separating shadow flying art to avoid the sword qi. Before he could do anything, another couple of green lotuses turned into sword qi and shot out. Each attack was deadly, and the poetic perspective contained within was extremely horrifying. It was as if there was a peerless sword artist attacking towards him. Without a choice, Yi Chen took out his star scar sword and started to fight against the sword qi. The battle was intense, and it was extremely tiring. After blocking a couple of sword qi in a row, Yi Chen frowned. In his sight, a huge green lotus near the center of the lake was floating in the air. It suddenly turned into dozens of sword qi, which were in perfect order. The sword aura contained within them was unimaginable. Yi Chen, who was standing far away, immediately felt like he was being locked on. He had a feeling that no matter where he tried to hide, he would be hit. This is a sword movement. Yi Chen was surprised. Chapter 290. Without time to think, dozens of sword chi had already shot over, making a swishing sound. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen shook his wrist. The star-scar sword exploded with a bright sword light, which disappeared into the air and attacked with an extremely high speed. Ding 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 ding, beams of sword chi were cut open. Yi Chen had a premonition, so he leaned his body and flashed out. From the corner of his eyes, he saw the last beam of sword chi draw a beautiful arc in the surreal space, cutting down where Yi Chen had been. With a swoosh sound, a sharp sword mark appeared on the ground. Such a sharp sword attack. Each attack is deadly. Yi Chen still had some lingering fear as he stared at the lake and the green lotuses in it with caution. This time, the lake had been brewing for a while. After 3 blinks of an eye, 3 green lotuses floated in the air. They did not turn into sword chi, attacking towards Yi Chen directly. However, in Yi Chen's eyes, these 3 green lotuses were even more horrifying than the sword chi. The edges of the lotus leaves had been rotating, tearing apart the water like air. Sky-shattering clouds. Yi Chen did not dare to be careless. He performed his ace attack, sky-shattering clouds. The sword chi turned into thunder light, attacking the green lotuses in the middle. Soon, thunder light splashed out, blowing away the green lotuses on the left and right, cutting into the walls of the valley. After going through the first and second level of the secret realm, Yi Chen's thunder cloud mentality had improved a lot and its power was very obvious. Swoosh! The 3 green lotuses had been shattered, and 6 green lotuses flew out of the lake. They did not stop at all as they attacked toward Yi Chen. It was not over yet. After the 6 green lotuses flew out, another 9 green lotuses floated in the air and merged together, forming a green lotus with a lotus on it. A killing attack within a killing attack. Yi Chen gasped. That green lotus had not attacked yet, but the pressure it gave him was way more than the previous 6. What was even more frightening was that there was a sword intent hidden within the lotus, as if there was a peerless great sword inside. Once the sword was taken out of its scabbard, it would kill immediately. Rice had to be eaten 1 bite at a time. First, he had to break the first 6 green lotuses. Holding the sword with both hands, Yi Chen performed the sky-shattering clouds with all his strength. The strong sword aura caused the heaven and earth to change. Lightning flashed and crackled in the air. Kacha! The lightning transformed from the sword chi roared out and surged into the 6 green lotuses. The exploding lightning arcs were like crescent-shaped sword chi, riddling the green lotuses with holes. Xiao! The green lotus finally moved. With a flash, it instantly arrived 10 meters away from Yi Chen. The lotus spun, and streams of sword chi that contained sword intent shot out like rain, enveloping the entire area where Yi Chen was, leaving him nowhere to hide. Quick sword! His silhouette blurred as Yi Chen unleashed his sword art to the extreme. There was no sword light, but there was sword light everywhere, fighting against that terrifying sword chi. Chi! All of a sudden, a petal on the lotus petal fell off and slashed at Yi Chen. Break! Under the pressure, the 70% sword intent broke out of Yi Chen's body and merged with his sword aura, accurately hitting that sharp petal. The petal was way more powerful than the sword chi. Fortunately, Yi Chen's sword intent contained the immortal mentality, which made the sword chi extremely hard to destroy. However, in the next second, more petals flew over, leaving the lotus completely bare. Such a horrifying sword art. Yi Chen sighed as he formed a sword net in front of him. His left hand pointed at the lotus that had lost its lotus. It was the void-shattering finger art that he had not used for a long time. First, there was the sound of the sword net shattering. Then, a finger hole appeared on the green lotus, destroying its stem and stem. After the sword chi disappeared, Yi Chen let out a breath. It had been quite some time since he had learned the void-shattering finger art. But, this heaven realm finger art was too hard to understand, and it was not something that he could learn at all. Right now, he had only learned a little bit of it, and had not even touched the essence of it yet. No wonder Thunder Freer had said that Sea of Souls realm warriors would be more suitable to train heaven realm martial arts. In other words, it would be extremely hard for warriors below the Sea of Souls realm to learn heaven realm martial arts. Perhaps, heaven realm martial arts were not just about poetic perspectives anymore. Once they reached beyond the poetic perspectives, then they would have the right to learn all of them. Of course, it was still early, so there was no need to rush. Looking at the lake, Yi Chen decided that if the attacks were too aggressive, he would perform his minor blood demon body separating great art. He was also ready to use the Jin Yuan in his Jin Chi spiral, since he did not want to be teleported out of the hidden dragon's secret realm. Shoo! 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 A rain-like sound was heard as all of the green lotuses in the lake floated up, covering the sky above the valley completely. The ones on the outside were basin-sized green lotuses, and the ones in the middle were 2 to 3 meters in size. The ones in the middle were huge and horrifying lotuses. The sharp sword aura combined together, and the valley was about to collapse. It seems like I will have to use these 2 ace attacks for real. Seeing the changes of the green lotuses, Yi Chen looked even colder. The 70% sword intent that contained the immortal mentality exploded out completely, filling up the entire sky. Inside his body, a pile of blood light kept on vibrating, which was a sign that he was about to perform his minor blood demon body separating great art. Inside the Jin Chi spiral, a thumb-sized powerful Jin Yuan that he had refined from the mysterious great art was moving, showing signs of flowing into his meridians. With everything prepared, Yi Chen was not afraid anymore. Unexpectedly, the green lotuses did not attack. Instead, they continued to merge together, eventually forming a small mountain-sized green lotus. There were 9 lotuses on top of the green lotus, each of which was even bigger than the living room of a rich family. There were even raindrops on the petals, which looked extremely realistic. After the huge green lotus was formed, it shrunk quickly. Then, a manual broke out of the water and flew into the sky, devouring the green lotuses. It floated there quietly. Is this a manual? Yi Chen thought of something and reached out his hand, trying to grab it from a distance. Shoo! The manual broke through the air and landed in Yi Chen's hand. Lowering his head, Yi Chen took a closer look. On the cover of the manual, there were 4 clear words, Green Lotus Sword Spell. These 4 words were not as simple as words. Yi Chen had a feeling that he could learn a powerful sword art from these 4 words. I hope it is not a sky realm sword art. Although judging from the power of the green lotuses, the possibility of it being a sky realm sword art was very small, but it would be better to be safe than sorry. If it really was a sky realm sword art, then it would be really depressing. He could only see it, but not eat it. Sky realm sword arts were not something he could learn. Turning to the first page, there was a line of words, Top Rank Earth Realm Sword Spell, Green Lotus Sword Spell. It contains the martial art Green Lotus Sword Spell and the sword art Green Lotus Sword Art. When the 2 are combined, it will be extremely powerful. Separately, it is still the top of the top rank Earth Realm martial art. Chapter 291. Sword artists treated the sword as their life weapon. If the martial art and the sword art could complement each other, and the rank was extremely high, then the warrior's battling power would increase drastically. Before, Yi Chen had trained the mysterious great art, which was a martial art with no element. It did not matter what kind of martial skill he used. However, every skill had its own specialization, and balance was weak. In comparison, the mysterious great art was not as good. But now, this Green Lotus sword spell was obviously a martial art for sword artists to train, so it would undoubtedly bring out the full power of a sword artist. Turning to the second page, it was written, the Green Lotus sword spell is divided into 15 levels. The first 6 levels are the basics, and the 7th level will allow you to train 3 Green Lotus sword chi inside your body. The sword chi will break through your body, and it will be invincible. The 10th level will allow you to train 6 Green Lotus sword chi inside your body. The 13th level will allow you to train 9 Green Lotus sword chi, and the 14th level will allow you to train 1 Lotus Heart sword chi. Generating sword chi inside his body. Yi Chen was shocked. As everyone knew, whatever martial art one trained, the chi that was released would be named after the martial art itself. For example, the 5 Mountain Godly Fist art would produce the 5 Mountain Fist power, the Sky Cloud Sword art would produce the Sky Cloud Sword chi, and the Green Lotus Sword art would produce the Green Lotus Sword chi. However, they all needed Jin chi to be used, so it could not be created out of thin air. However, the Green Lotus Sword spell was obviously beyond this category, as it could generate Green Lotus Sword chi and Lotus Heart Sword chi inside his body. In other words, once he trained it to the 7th level, he would not need to use a sword anymore. He could only use his fingers or other parts of his body to perform the Green Lotus Sword chi. As for the power, it should not be low, since the Green Lotus Sword spell was a top-rank Earth Realm martial art, which was only slightly weaker than the Sky Realm martial arts. Continuing to read, Yi Chen learned that the Green Lotus Sword chi from the Green Lotus Sword spell was not that powerful at the beginning, but after training, its attacking power would be even more powerful than his own attacking power. Plus, with every level up, the Green Lotus Sword chi would have a qualitative improvement. It is indeed a martial art for sword artists. It pays a lot of attention to attacking power. Yi Chen sighed. He had the urge to train it right away, but he knew that it was not the right time yet. In the early stages of changing martial arts, the warrior's power would be extremely weak. He would have to wait until he was fully prepared. Halfway through the manual, the accompanying sword art for the Green Lotus Sword spell appeared on the page, the Green Lotus Sword art. The Green Lotus Sword art has 9 movements in total. The 1st to 3rd movements are the basic sword movements, the 4th to 6th movements are the ultimate sword movements, and the 7th to 9th movements are the ultimate sword movements. Those who train the Green Lotus Sword art will have a much more powerful sword chi attack. If you cannot train it, then give it up as soon as possible, in case it taints your sword art. Reading the last sentence, Yi Chen smiled. The owner of the manual should be a very proud sword artist, and would not allow anyone to taint the Green Lotus Sword art. But of course, it was a fact that top-rank Earth Realm martial arts were extremely hard to train. Bing Ling was ranked 9 in this year's Hidden Dragon rank, but she had only trained 1 movement of the Ice Break Fist art, and it was not even a complete one. Most of the people before her were like that, they had only perfected the killing movement a little bit. Although I have never trained a top-rank Earth Realm sword art, but I have combined the lone peak of 13 swords into 1 movement, and the 5 movements of the Sky Cloud sword art into 1 movement. These are all my knowledge and potential. It should not be too difficult for me to train a top-rank Earth Realm sword art. It was true that Yi Chen's comprehensive ability was very high, but if he did not have the experience from before, he would not be able to train top-rank Earth Realm sword arts much faster than Xikong Sheng and the rest. Everything had to go through a process from nothing to something, which was also the most difficult process. However, Yi Chen did not have to go through the process of nothing, and just started from the beginning to the end, which naturally lowered the difficulty. His Lone Peak Kill and Sky Shattering Clouds were both top-rank Earth Realm, and judging solely on the attacking power, they would not be any weaker than the first movement of top-rank Earth Realm sword arts. The Kill Heart attack was even more powerful than the second movement, which was a very high starting point. The poetic perspective here has not disappeared yet. Let me train the Green Lotus Sword art first. Learning the Green Lotus Sword art here would save him a lot of time. As for the Green Lotus Sword spell, he would have to put it aside for now. The basic sword movements in the beginning of the Green Lotus sword art were called the Green Lotus 3 movements. These 3 movements were the foundation of the Green Lotus sword art. Only with a solid foundation would one be able to learn the ace and killing movements. Without a solid foundation, the ace and killing movements would also have fatal flaws. Green Lotus 1 appearance. After studying it quietly for an hour, Yi Chen closed the manual and put his right hand on the sword hilt, pulling out his star scar sword all of a sudden. Shoo! A green lotus appeared in the air, turning into sword chi and shooting out. It cut a deep mark on the wall of the valley, extending all the way to the top of the valley. Such a sharp sword chi! Yi Chen was very surprised. Normally, the Green Lotus sword art contained the mentality of wood and the mentality of water, so it should be relatively gentle. However, although the Green Lotus sword chi was gentle, its sharpness did not decrease because of that. Instead, it had been increased to an extreme, giving it a feeling of being soft on the outside but hard on the inside. Green Lotus chi transformation. The second sword move was unleashed. The illusory Green Lotus flashed, transforming into a dozen or so streaks of sword chi of different shapes and sizes. They shot out with a whooshing sound, turning the walls of the valley into a hornet's nest. The last streak of sword chi even drew a stunning arc in the air, cutting through the rock walls that couldn't bear the heavy burden. Sword chi like lotus. The third move of the basic sword technique was executed, and the lotus-like sword chi swept across the lake, leaving behind a thin cut. In the end, it split the iron-containing boulder beside the lake into 2, and the 2 pieces shot out to the sides. Just the basic sword movement alone is already much more powerful than the Sky Cloud sword art. Its power is almost the same as the sky-shattering clouds combined with the 3 movements of the Sky Cloud sword art. But, the sky-shattering clouds still looks more spectacular, while the Green Lotus 3 movement seems more reserved. It should have something to do with the mentality. Although he had not completely mastered the Green Lotus sword art yet, Yi Chen already had a basic understanding of the power of the Green Lotus 3 movement. Once trained to the extreme, its power would be extraordinary. There was still a lot of time left, so Yi Chen continued to learn the Green Lotus 3 movement. When Yi Chen was learning the Green Lotus sword art, there were less than 20 people left in the Hidden Dragon's secret realm. The rest of them had all been eliminated in the process of fighting against the mentality. Most of the people who stayed had gotten a martial art, but they were all relatively simple, unlike Yi Chen, who had gotten a martial art that contained both a martial art and a sword art. The 7th day, Yi Chen, who had been quietly standing next to the lake, slowly opened his eyes. An illusory sword chi shot out from his pupils, cutting through the air. Cut! The star scar sword was taken out of its scabbard. The sharp sword chi was dozens of meters long, cutting the small lake in half. The lake water could not merge back together for a long time. One sword to cut the water. Green Lotus 3 movement completed. Hu! Letting out a heavy breath, Yi Chen thought to himself, the Green Lotus 3 movement has been completed, and the mentality has been completed as well. Now, I can start to learn the ultimate sword movements. But I should leave the Hidden Dragon's secret realm first. Looking at the sky of the Hidden Dragon's secret realm, Yi Chen put away his star scar sword and walked out of the valley. On the beautiful 3rd level of the Hidden Dragon's secret realm, Yi Chen started walking. Boom! A huge mountain nearby was suddenly blown through, and a human figure flew out. It was Sikong Sheng. Sikong Sheng had noticed Yi Chen, who was not far away. His expression did not change as he said, "In half a year, you and I will fight again." Yi Chen said lightly, "I will wait for you." In the distance, there was a volcano eruption. Yan Qihua appeared one after another, followed by Li Daoxian, Morong Qingqing, Tua Baku, Lin Yun, Mo Yan, Bing Ling, and Gu Yuyun. Soon, Su Jing, who was wearing white, walked over as well. "You have broken through." Yi Chen could see that the gold qi power inside Su Jing's body had increased a lot, reaching 90,000 pounds. It was already equivalent to the core disciple level of the vast expanse martial school. Yi Chen did not know how powerful the vast expanse martial school was. But, since Su Jing could be ranked in the top of the hidden dragon rank, and was only at the core disciple level, it was not hard to tell. Su Jing nodded. She was different from the others. The others had basically made some progress in the poetic perspective, but their basic power was still the same. However, she had learned the power poetic perspective, and her body training art that had been stagnant for a long time had increased by one level, and her battling power had doubled. The body training art had always been an extreme martial art, even more extreme than the sword artist's martial arts. The battling power that could be derived from it would be extremely shocking. Of course, it did not mean that the sword artists were not as powerful as the people who had trained the body training art. The most important thing for a sword artist was still the sword intent. Without the sword intent, a sword artist would only be a normal warrior, and would not be that outstanding. Only with the sword intent would one be considered a powerful sword artist. In this true spirit continent, the sword artist had always been synonymous with attacking power. There is still half a day left. Should we go check out the 4th floor? Someone suggested. Yi Chen shook his head. I have been there before. The end of the stairs to the 4th floor is just a void. I do not know where it leads to. Then never mind. Everyone had gained a lot, so they did not plan to risk their lives. Time passed quickly, and the rest of the people disappeared from where they were standing. They had been teleported out of the hidden dragon's secret realm. In the deep abyss around the battling platform, a powerful dragon roar was heard. A huge dragon chi took 2 circles in the air, its head resting on the battling platform. It opened its mouth, and a swirl slowly formed. Woo! The first one to walk out was Yi Chen, and the rest of the people followed closely behind him. They are out. I wonder what each of us had gained. Even if we had gained something, we would not tell you. Anyway, we must have gained something. Over at the audience seating, everyone's eyes brightened as they started to discuss. The head judge let out a breath and said with a loud voice, "Everyone, we will now announce the ranking of the hidden dragon rank. Please be quiet." During these 7 days, the judges had not been idle. They had decided the ranking based on the number of points they had accumulated. Occasionally, some of the people who had the same number of points had already been challenged again. The good thing was that those who had the same number of points did not include the people who had stayed in the hidden dragon's secret realm. Otherwise, they would have to fight a few more times. In the ranking of the hidden dragon rank, Lynch was ranked 54th, and Su Jing was ranked 19th. Adding Yi Chen, it was the first time in hundreds of years that 3 people had made it into the hidden dragon rank at the same time. The top 10 were Yi Chen, Xikong Sheng, Yan Qihua, Li Daoxian, Murong Qingqing, Tua Baku, Lin Yun, Mo Yan, Bing Ling, and Gu Yuyun. The second disciple of the Sunset Martial School, Xian Yun, was ranked 11th, and the 12th was Gu Qing, who was ranked 10th in the last hidden dragon rank. After that, this year's hidden dragon rank competition had officially come to an end. Chapter 292. Congratulations, Leader Luo. Your Sky Cloud Martial School has gained a lot of fame this time. You have 2 disciples in the hidden dragon rank. You are so lucky. Once the competition was over, all of the top martial institutions in the Windy Nation came over to congratulate him. Some of them were kind, some were jealous, and some were evil. Luo Xinglia held his fists together and laughed. That is because they have worked hard, and the Sky Cloud Martial School has benefited from it. Don't worry, my Sky Cloud Martial School is not like some other martial institutions. We will never be a dictator. Yi Chen and Su Jing had not really grown up yet, and Luo Xinglia did not want to be a thorn in everyone's side. That would be very bad for the Sky Cloud Martial School's development. After all, the Sky Cloud Martial School was still not as powerful as the Emerald Martial Palace and the North Snow Martial Academy. Hearing him, all of the leaders' faces changed a little. Although in this true spirit continent, the strong ones were the most powerful ones, and promises were not always reliable, since Luo Xinglia had said it in front of everyone, it must have some effect. They let out a breath of relief, but at the same time, they were a little jealous. Why did they not have such a powerful disciple in their martial institutions? The leader of the Rudra Martial School, Long Bai, walked over and said with a sweet smile, "Leader Luo, Long Bai is here to congratulate you." Luo Xinglia saw her and said gratefully, "Leader Long, thank you for what happened in the scorching ancient desert. You saved us from a disaster." Long Bai's identity was special, and it was known to all of the martial institutions in the Windy Nation. Aside from the fact that she had helped the Sky Cloud Martial School once, Luo Xinglia also wanted to build a good relationship with the Rudra Martial School. At least, he could not let them be enemies. After living in the Windy Nation for so many years, I have developed some feelings. How could I let the martial institutions in the country be bullied by others? Let's not talk about this. Where is Yi Chen? I have to take a good look this time. Long Bai had not met Yi Chen officially yet, so she was very curious. Alright, I will tell him to come. Soon, Yi Chen, who was wearing blue robes, walked over. He held his fists together and said, "Leader Long, good day." Long Bai sized him up, nodded, and praised, "Yes, he has the aptitude of a top-notch swordsman. He has a lofty character, but no arrogance. He is indeed a piece of unpolished jade." Yi Chen was rather embarrassed. This was the first time that he had been complimented right in front of his face, and it was by a woman. Yi Chen was shocked. He could not see through her at all. Even with his powerful soul power, he could not see through her at all. What was even more horrifying was that she seemed to be able to see through his soul with only one glance. This was definitely not the power that a peak-level late-class Bing Yuan realm should have. It should be at least the astral-reaching realm, or even higher. Yi Chen would never forget what had happened in the scorching ancient desert. At that time, the headmaster of the South Rudra Martial School took out a tablet with a green dragon carved on it, which was called the Little Green Dragon Tablet. Even with the power of a rank 7 martial school, the multiple mountain martial school had to give up, not daring to talk back. It was not hard to imagine that the owner of the Little Green Dragon Tablet must be someone with a powerful background and power. Now that he thought about it, Yi Chen was even more certain. But, the future is too unpredictable, and you will have to rely on yourself. Right now, it is just the beginning for you. In the future, you will be involved in a lot of things, and with the slightest mistake, you will have to face the disaster of death. Remember, the top level of this true spirit continent is 100 times more dangerous than you can imagine. As for my identity, you don't need to guess anymore. You will know what you should know sooner or later. Yes. Yi Chen nodded. Oh right, did the Moon Pavilion contact you before? Long Bai suddenly asked. Yi Chen was a bit confused, it was a manager of the Moon Pavilion. Oh. Long Bai nodded and thought to herself, I thought that person had noticed him as well. But with his potential, he would be noticed sooner or later. It can't be helped. The good thing is that that person has even more martial geniuses than my great-grandfather, and there are many people with the potential of the true dragon. The two chatted for a while, and then Long Bai left. Right then, Luo Xinglia walked over, Yi Chen, the competition of the hidden dragon rank has already ended. Do you have any plans to go back to the Windy Nation? Leader, yes, this time I plan to go back and stay for a while. For business and personal reasons, Yi Chen had to go back for a while. The dragon fountain chi he had would only work after he entered the martial institution. Otherwise, it would only work on himself. Besides, he had to go back to his family. When he left, his mother was already pregnant with twins. Now that it had been more than a year, his little brother and sister should be a couple of months old by now. As the big brother, he had to go back and check on them. Plus, training the Green Lotus Sword spell in the early stage required him to shut himself up, and he would not be able to walk around. So, going back to the Windy Nation would be a good idea. Luo Xinglia smiled, "That's good. When I get back, there is still one big thing that I need to discuss with you. By then, the Great Master will also come out." "Big thing?" "Hee, we will talk about it later. Of course, don't worry, this thing will not affect you at all." Luo Xinglia kept him guessing. The competition of the Hidden Dragon rank had already ended for a long time. There were people who were greeting each other, trying to get to know each other, and even trying to figure out the bottom line. After it had quieted down, the people from the Sky Cloud Martial School started to stand up, preparing to leave the Hidden Dragon ancient city. Watching the people from the Sky Cloud Martial School leaving, the leader of the Purple Sun Martial School, Tu Chongshan, revealed a cold smile as a strange light flashed in his eyes. The dragon-shaped silhouette would only appear on the battling platform. After leaving the battling platform, only the rich dragon fountain Qi would be left. However, after leaving the Hidden Dragon ancient city, the dragon fountain Qi would be hidden in the blood vessels, and would be hard to observe with the naked eyes and spirit power. Huh! Leaving the Hidden Dragon ancient city, Yi Chen let out a breath. On the side, Luo Hanshan laughed, "A month ago, I went to Luo City for a mission. Your brother and sister are very cute, they look a bit like you." "Oh yeah?" A smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. It felt good to have a family. Even if he had to wander around in the outside world, he would not be a rootless duckweed. "Let's go." The headmaster called the Wind Eagle back and yelled at the group. "Let's go." Luo Hanshan said. "Yeah." Yi Chen nodded and followed the group onto the Wind Eagle. The Wind Eagle spread its wings and carried the group into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. 10 days later, the group had traveled nearly 200,000 miles away from the Hidden Dragon ancient city. On a Wind Eagle in the middle of the group, Yi Chen, Su Jing, Luo Hanshan and Zhu Mei were standing together, protected by the group of people. The fierce wind that could easily blow them away could no longer move their bodies. They were all standing on the Wind Eagle's back, as if they were rooted to the ground. Looking at the rolling clouds, Yi Chen suddenly sighed. The Zhen Qi inside his body automatically started to move, and the sixth movement of the sky-shattering clouds had been successfully merged. The poetic perspective of thunder and clouds has reached a new level in the Hidden Dragon's secret realm. I was planning to go back and merge some sword movements, but I didn't think that it would be so easy. Yi Chen was not too surprised. He had gained a lot from the Hidden Dragon's secret realm, including the improvement of the poetic perspective of thunder and clouds. Compared to the poetic perspective, it was much easier to merge sword movements. With a short period of time, he would be able to merge the 6 movements of the Sky Cloud Sword Art. But now, he didn't have to spend that much time, and the merging had been done naturally. Let's go back and test its power. Something happened. Yi Chen frowned. He had sensed something with his soul power. Yi Chen, what's wrong? Luo Hanshan looked over. Soon, Su Jing and Zhu Mei also looked at him. Yi Chen sneered, "We are being watched." He did not lower his voice when he said this, so Luo Xinglia and the other core masters all realized what was going on. They all looked very serious. "Ha! You are indeed the #1 warrior in the Hidden Dragon rank. You have found us so quickly." The first sky was torn apart. Thunder light shone brightly as a human figure flew down and blocked in front of the Wind Eagle. It was a middle-aged man with a black cloth covering his face. His whole body was covered with a bright fiery light. He was obviously an astral reaching realm warrior. Judging from his Zhen Yuan vibration, he should be at the peak level of early astral reaching realm, which was the same as Thunder Freer. Luo Xinglia said with a dark face, "Who are you? Why are you blocking our way?" The middle-aged man laughed out loud, "I have been paid to take care of their problems. Very simple. Take care of their problems. All the people from the Sky Cloud Martial School had a bad look on their faces. They had never thought that they would be tricked on their way back. Those people were probably not targeting them, but Yi Chen, who was ranked in the Hidden Dragon rank. After all, only Yi Chen was worth the attention of an astral-reaching realm warrior. Indeed, you can leave, but he will stay. The middle-aged man pointed at Yi Chen, as if he had the whole situation under control. Yi Chen flew onto the Wind Eagle. Are you that confident that you can keep me here? The middle-aged man said with disdain, although you and Sikong Sheng are powerful enough to fight against normal early astral-reaching realm warriors are way more powerful than you two. If I burn my Jin Yuan, killing you would be as easy as flipping my palm. Plus, I am already at the peak level of early astral-reaching realm. I can kill you without burning my Jin Yuan. Now, are you going to let me kill you, or do you want me to spend some effort to kill you? He did not take Yi Chen seriously at all. The so-called number one of the Hidden Dragon rank was only a weak sheep that could be killed at any time before he grew up. Well said. But your wish is going to come true. The surprising sky was torn apart again, and a human figure wrapped in thunder light flew down. His body flashed once, appearing right in front of Yi Chen. Luo Xinglia let out a breath. He said with respect, Thunder Freer. It was indeed Thunder Freer. He was asked by Cloud Dreamer to come and protect the people from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Only Luo Xinglia and the headmaster knew about this. You guys step back. Thunder Freer glanced at Yi Chen with admiration, then said to Luo Xinglia and the others. The middle-aged man did not change his expression. No wonder you look so confident. It turns out that you have a peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior protecting you. Indeed, with my power, I would not be able to beat warriors with the same cultivation, not to mention killing you guys. Unfortunately, you will not be able to escape from this. After he finished talking, he turned his head and said to the sky, things are getting tricky. Come out now. Ha! I thought you did not need me. The surprising sky was torn apart for the third time, and a masked man appeared. His Zhen Yuan vibration was only slightly weaker than the middle-aged man's, which meant that he was an early astral-reaching realm warrior. This time, Luo Xinglia and the headmaster had a really bad look on their faces. Thunder Freer frowned. He was confident that he could stall the two astral-reaching realm warriors for a long time, but in the situation of protecting everyone, any mistake would make everything go to waste. Inside his body, the blood light surged. Without hesitation, Yi Chen performed his minor blood demon body separating great art. Meanwhile, he took out two 500-years-old blood sunflowers from his storage ring. With a roll of his Zhen Qi, the medicinal power of the blood sunflowers was extracted out and condensed into a pellet, which he swallowed. Facing an early astral-reaching realm warrior, he could not hide his real ace anymore. Chapter 293. No time to waste. Kill. The masked man was afraid that something might happen in the middle of the battle. If another astral-reaching realm warrior showed up, then they would not be able to do anything, and they would not even be able to get the other half of the reward. Thunder Freer was furious. He opened his palm, forming a tiger claw. Mad Thunder Grab. Pap. Pap. There was a violent flash of lightning in the void, forming a huge tiger paw that completely enveloped the two masked men. Go kill that brat. I will block him. The masked man yelled as he tightened his right fist. A flame halo appeared on top of his fist as he threw out a punch towards the thunder tiger palm. Boom! The thunder and fire disappeared one after another. Thunder Freer and the masked man both backed out for dozens of meters. Brat, die! The other masked man seized the opportunity, and a 5-foot-long dark green iron stick appeared in his right hand. The iron stick was surrounded by beams of green light. He tightened his grip and smashed the iron stick towards Yi Chen's head. Before the stick even reached Yi Chen, the air had already started to collapse. In the eyes of the Sky Cloud Martial School people, this short stick was like a 1,000-foot-long tidal wave, which was extremely aggressive. Together, Luo Xinglia was planning to gather everyone to fight against the masked man, but he did not expect a huge change to happen to Yi Chen's body. Whoosh! A blood-red Zhen Qi shot up into the sky, dyeing Yi Chen's hair and eyebrows red. Holding his star-scar sword, Yi Chen did not back out at all. He threw out a sword attack with that blood-red thunder light. His whole body looked like a bloody god of war. Dang! The iron stick and the star-scar sword clashed together and exploded. It was like a real wave had pushed both of them back out. Pooh! The masked man could not believe what had just happened. He puked out a mouthful of smoking blood. How is this possible? Your battling power cannot be this powerful. Yi Chen looked cold. There are a lot of things that you do not know. I am not obligated to tell you all of them. Since you are here, then don't even think about leaving. Taking one step forward, Yi Chen's aura grew even more powerful. He lifted up his star-scar sword with both of his hands and attacked down. The masked man's injuries were not light. Coupled with the fact that he was slightly absent-minded, he lost the best opportunity to dodge the attack. The result of forcibly raising his rod to block the attack was that he was forced to retreat dozens of meters again. Blood gushed out of his mouth as if it was free of charge. He looked extremely embarrassed, which was the complete opposite of his previous arrogant demeanor. This is Yi Chen. Luo Xinglia acted like he did not know Yi Chen at all. Yi Chen was an early astral reaching realm warrior, and he had been wounded after only one attack. He did not even have the power to fight back. Senior brother Yi is so strong. Those core disciples from the Sky Cloud Martial School, who had come to watch the competition, shouted out in shock. Of course, they were not the only ones who were shocked. Lu Hanshan, Zhu Mei, and those elders of the Sky Cloud Martial School were also shocked. It was as if they had just met Yi Chen for the first time. Although the power that Yi Chen had shown in the last battle of the Hidden Dragon rank was equivalent to an early astral reaching realm warrior in his normal condition, he could only fight against him. It was impossible for him to beat him, not to mention making him puke blood with only one attack. It was obviously two different levels of battling power. In other words, in that last battle, Yi Chen still had some hidden power. Thinking up to this point, everyone from the Sky Cloud Martial School secretly felt lucky. Luckily, Yi Chen was a disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and he was not their enemy. Otherwise, facing an enemy with endless hidden power and immeasurable battling power would be the most terrifying thing. Who knew whether or not he would attack at the critical moment? Yi Chen's movements were very simple. They were just like thunder and lightning, fast and violent, powerful and heavy. Every sword attack was accompanied by blood-colored lightning and endless clouds. He was like a god of war in the clouds, like a thunder god with thunder and lightning on his body. He had suppressed the masked man until he did not even have the slightest bit of temper left. Wah! Another mouthful of blood spurted out. The masked man was seriously injured, and his face was pale without a trace of blood. He roared in a hoarse voice, "Damn brat, I will tear you into 1,000 pieces, turn you into ashes, and burn you for me." The dark green Jin Yuan outside the masked man's body rubbed against each other, bringing up sparks. The sparks were like sparks on a grassland, covering his whole body within a second and devouring him. The next second, a dark green flame appeared on his body, and his aura increased drastically. What? He has started to burn his Jin Yuan already. The masked man and Thunder Freer were fighting at the same level, so he did not have the time to pay attention to the other side of the battle. He waited until the huge aura of burning Jin Yuan spread out before he glanced over. What he saw made him open his mouth wide. In his sight, the masked man had been beaten by Yi Chen to the point where he kept puking out blood. He looked extremely embarrassed. If he did not burn his Jin Yuan soon, he would be killed. I was too careless. This brat is 10 times more tricky than I thought. Brat Yi, well done. Kill Thunder Qianjun. Thunder Freer had also noticed what was happening on Yi Chen's side. He was shocked. Although Yi Chen's poetic perspective of thunder was not as good as his poetic perspective was obviously not just the poetic perspective of thunder, but the poetic perspective of thunderclouds. Therefore, judging from the overall poetic perspective, he was not weaker than Thunder Freer at all. The only difference was that he did not have any Jin Yuan. Thinking about what he had said before, that even if Yi Chen's sword intent reached completion, he would only be able to compete with early astral reaching realm warriors, he could not help but force a smile. Yi Chen did not need to rely on the completion of his sword intent. He could already compete with early astral reaching realm warriors with his powerful sword movements and poetic perspectives, and even wound them. What would happen if his sword intent reached completion? How powerful would it be? Thunder Freer did not dare to think about it anymore, as he was afraid that he would be depressed if he continued to think about it. There was no time to lose. Taking advantage of the masked man's dazed state, Thunder Freer opened his right hand. Countless arm-thick thunder light shot out towards the masked man at a speed that was a couple of times faster than the speed of sound. Pop! 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 His protective Jin Yuan was shaken up, and the masked man was blown away. A trace of blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth. He made up his mind and shook his body. The flame on his body was extremely bright, making him look like a human-shaped torch. Only you know how to burn Jin Yuan, but so do I. Thunder Freer gave up on chasing after the masked man. Electric sparks flashed on his long hair, and in the next second, the blue flame and the lightning shot up into the sky. Both his aura and Jin Yuan vibration had been doubled. 2 peak-level early astral reaching realm warriors had burned their Jin Yuan one after another. The clouds started to gather, and even the protective screen of the surprising sky started to become unstable. On the other side, Yi Chen did not care about his opponent's Jin Yuan burning state. He held his sword with both of his hands and put it on his waist. His body leaned forward, and he shot out at a speed that was a couple of times faster than the speed of sound. His blood-colored Jin Qi dragged out a blood-red Qi flow behind him. Even the corner of his eyes had left 2 blood-colored traces in the air. Amazing. Evil. Aggressive. Right then, that was the feeling that Yi Chen had brought to the crowd. Zhu Mei and Su Jing, who had a good impression of Yi Chen, could feel their hearts beating out of their control. A strange feeling rose in their hearts. Not only them, even a few of the core female masters blushed. They thought to themselves, if they were 20 years younger, they would most likely be attracted to him. Piss off. Burning his Jin Yuan had made the masked man even more wounded. Blood appeared on his face. He did not dare to waste any more time, so he held his black iron stick and threw it out with his most explosive power. Clang! The waves were stirred up, and the clouds and thunder roared. A huge shockwave spread out quickly, sweeping out in all directions and clearing out a huge cloud layer. Dragging his star-scar sword, Yi Chen was not injured at all. On the other hand, the masked man's face was covered in blood. It looked like countless blood-red snakes slithering down his body, looking like a ghost. He yelled unwillingly, "This is unreasonable. I have already burned my Jin Yuan, and my attacking power has doubled. How could I still lose to you?" Calming down his boiling qi and blood, Yi Chen took out another 2 500-years-old blood sunflowers, sucking out their medicinal power and swallowing it. He thought to himself, battling with Sikong Sheng, my attacking power was already equivalent to a normal early astral reaching realm warrior. Now that I have performed the minor blood demon body separating great art, my attacking power has increased by at least 50%. Plus, I have successfully combined the 6th movement of the Sky Cloud Sword Art. It should not be a problem for me to fight against an astral reaching realm warrior who has burned his Jin Yuan. As for being able to beat the masked man, it was because he had been wounded by me before. Brother Yi is freakishly powerful. A few of the core disciples mumbled to themselves. Luo Xinglia's tightened body and mind had finally relaxed. A smile appeared on his face. With Yi Chen here, they would not need to cause any more trouble. Immortal sky-shattering clouds. Without changing his movement, Yi Chen's aura had expanded to its peak. His body flashed once, appearing above the masked man within a second. His star-scar sword, which had been dyed red by the blood lightning, had been thrown down heavily. Chin. Sparks flew everywhere as the masked man's internal organs had been messed up. It was no longer a matter of being badly wounded. If it was not treated in time, he might be disabled for the rest of his life, and would never be able to become a warrior again. With that thought in mind, he did not care about the dignity of an astral-reaching realm warrior anymore. He turned around and ran away at his fastest speed. Compared to his life, the dignity of an astral-reaching realm warrior was not worth anything at all. He is running away. Zhu Mei opened her red little mouth. Kill heart. Letting the tiger go back to the mountain was not Yi Chen's style. Right then, when he was performing the minor blood demon body separating great art, it would disturb his mental stability. The reason why he was able to maintain this kind of stability was because of his powerful soul power. But no matter how powerful his soul power was, it would only be enough for him to maintain it. Performing the kill heart sword attack would definitely affect its power. But of course, as long as he could perform 80% of its power, it would be enough. He threw out a sword attack, the sword chi looking like a pillar. Swoosh! The masked man's burning protective Jin Yuan had been punctured through, and an arm-sized bloody hole appeared on his chest. After a scream, he fell down from the sky, completely dead. The masked man was shocked, Thunder Freer was shocked, Luo Xinglia was shocked, and everyone from the Sky Cloud Martial School was shocked. It seemed like even the Wind Vulture was shocked, its eyeballs stopped moving. Fighting against an early astral-reaching realm warrior and killing an early astral-reaching realm warrior were two completely different concepts. They could not be compared at all. They thought that no one in the South Rudra region would be able to do it for a long time, but Yi Chen had done it. He had done something that no one in the South Rudra region had managed to do in the past hundreds of years. He had killed an early astral-reaching realm warrior who was burning his Jin Yuan with only a late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. Once this got out, it would create a tsunami-like storm in the whole South Rudra region. His name would also be recorded in the history of the whole region. Chapter 294. Performing the minor blood demon body separating great art did not feel good at all. All of his chi and blood seemed to be burning, bringing waves of needle-like pain. This kind of pain was getting worse as time went on. Even with Yi Chen's powerful endurance, cold sweat still dripped down from his forehead. Kill! Yi Chen turned his body, and a blood-colored arc flashed through the air. All of a sudden, Yi Chen appeared above the middle-aged man, throwing out a sword attack. You are looking for death. The middle-aged man recovered from his shock. A sharp killing intent shot out from his eyes as he threw out a fist attack with a burning flame halo towards Yi Chen. Boom! A huge part of the cloud layer had been evaporated. Looking down from the cloud layer, there seemed to be a huge hole in the sky. The edge of the hole was filled with fire and thunder. The terrifying impact sent Yi Chen flying backward. He glided in the air for hundreds of meters before he managed to stop himself. His feet stepped on the misty cloud, and a pale look flashed across his face. A peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior was extremely powerful. Even with the combination of Yi Chen's minor blood demon body separating great art and his sky-shattering clouds with his 70% sword intent, he would still be at a disadvantage. Plus, the middle-aged man was different from the other masked man who had already died. He had basically not been wounded before. Once he started to burn his Jin Yuan, his battling power would be doubled. Alright, you and I will take care of him together. Thunder Freer did not plan to keep the middle-aged man alive, because he knew that he would not be able to do it with his own power. Wounding him was already his limit. But now that Yi Chen had taken out the other masked man, if the two of them worked together, they would have a great chance of winning. In your dreams. Taste my three-colored fire fist. The middle-aged man roared as all of his clothes started to dance in the air without any wind. Under the burning Zhen Yuan mode, the edges of his clothes were covered in flames. It looked like he was wearing pieces of dancing flames, looking extremely powerful. On his right fist, a golden flame appeared, burning the air. Three-colored fire fist. Yi Chen was a bit surprised. Before, he had felt that he did not have enough battling techniques, so he went to the trading palace of the martial city to look for a replacement fist art. Among the two fist art manuals that he had his eyes on, one of them was indeed the three-colored fire fist, while the other one was the five-mountain godly fist. The three-colored fire fist was sold for 170,000 low-rank soul stones in the trading palace. There were 3 movements in total. The fist power of the first movement would be red, the second would be purple, and the third would be gold. Obviously, the masked man had already trained the three-colored fire fist to the highest level. Although the three-colored fire fist art was a mid-rank Earth Realm fist art, and its rank was not that high, but in the South Rudra region, normal astral-reaching realm warriors rarely had martial arts above mid-rank Earth Realm. A high-rank Earth Realm martial art was priceless, and only the astral-reaching realm warriors from rank 6 martial institutions and rank 7 martial institutions had the money to buy it. Plus, even if you had the money, you might not be able to buy it, since there were so many astral-reaching realm warriors in the South Rudra region, and martial arts above mid-rank Earth Realm were extremely rare. In this situation, it would be impossible for every astral-reaching realm warrior to have a martial art above mid-rank Earth Realm. But of course, mid-rank Earth Realm martial arts were 2 different concepts in the hands of Clasping Yuan Realm warriors and Astral-reaching Realm warriors. Clasping Yuan Realm warriors used Qin Qi to perform their martial arts, while Astral-reaching Realm warriors used Qin Yuan. This alone was like a huge gap that could not be crossed. Plus, because of the high cultivation of Astral-reaching Realm warriors, they would be able to perform their martial arts to the extreme, and their martial poetic perspective would be a whole level higher than that of Clasping Yuan Realm warriors. In the Hidden Dragon rank competitions, Yi Chen's sword poetic perspective was just like that of an astral-reaching realm warrior, which had already shocked a lot of people. Therefore, even if a Clasping Yuan Realm warrior had a top-rank Earth Realm martial art, he would still not be able to compete with an astral-reaching realm warrior who had used a mid-rank Earth Realm martial art. Even more extreme, an astral-reaching realm warrior could easily kill a Clasping Yuan Realm warrior without using any martial arts. As for martial geniuses like Yi Chen and Xikongsheng, who could fight against people who were a whole level higher than them, they could be counted as special cases. The three-colored fire fist art was one of the top mid-rank Earth Realm martial arts. Performed by the masked man, that rich golden flame had raised the temperature of the area rapidly. It was like a fire chi field had formed in that area, and anyone who entered the chi field would be greatly affected. "Ha, I can't kill you, but I can kill him." The masked man could tell that Yi Chen had used a martial art that could increase his battling power. Normally, this kind of martial art would not last long, and it would also cause a lot of damage to the user. He did not believe that Yi Chen would be able to use it forever. "In front of me, Thunder Freer, you will not be able to kill anyone." Heavenly Thunder Battle Armor. Thunder Freer sneered. His burning protective Zhen Yuan shrunk and condensed into a battle armor that was full of thunder and lightning. 2 light arcs extended out from the back of the battle armor. At the place where the light arcs intersected, a bowl-sized thunder bead started to condense. The electric arcs that were spreading out from it started to make cracking noises. The martial art that came with the Heavenly Thunder Great Art, the Heavenly Thunder Battle Armor. Thunder Freer had a great adventure in his early years. He had found a set of martial art, the Heavenly Thunder Great Art, which contained a martial art, a defensive martial skill, and a battling martial skill. Judging only the effect of increasing battling power, it was almost as powerful as a normal high-rank Earth realm martial art. Excluding the early astral reaching realm warriors from the super martial institutions, with the power of the Heavenly Thunder Great Art, Thunder Freer would definitely be one of the most powerful early astral reaching realm warriors. I will kill you first. Thunder Freer's toughness was out of the masked man's expectation. His body flashed, and he rushed towards Yi Chen with a straight fire wave. Pap! After the Heavenly Thunder battle armor had been condensed, Thunder Freer's speed had been pushed to its limit. An electric arc exploded, and his whole body appeared in front of the masked man within a second. He threw out a claw attack. So fast. But so what? Back out now. Raising up his fist that was wrapped in golden flame, the masked man clenched his teeth and threw out an attack towards Thunder Freer. Boom! A huge sound was heard as both of them were blown back. Right then, Yi Chen moved. He looked like a bloody battle god. He took a step forward, ignoring the distance between him and the masked man as he threw out a sword attack. Kill Heart. The Kill Heart was a combination of the Lone Peak Kill and the One Sword attack. It could be used for both close-range and long-range attacks. Relatively speaking, close-range attacks were more powerful. Under the cover of the Kill poetic perspective, warriors with the same cultivation would not be able to block it out at all. Even astral-reaching realm warriors would not be able to ignore this poetic perspective. Pooh! The burning protective Jin Yuan had been punctured through, and an egg-sized bloody hole appeared on the masked man's shoulder. It was perfectly round, and blood kept pouring out of it. The masked man screamed and hurried to back out, increasing the distance between them. What a shame! Just a little bit more. Yi Chen's soul power had been searching for the flaws of the masked man all the time. Before, when the masked man was battling with Thunder Freer, his flawless protective Jin Yuan had been slightly unstable, which gave Yi Chen the chance to throw out a sword attack. However, astral-reaching realm warriors had extremely powerful mental power, and the Kill poetic perspective could not affect his mind completely. Therefore, Yi Chen managed to avoid the fatal attack. Since his sword attack had failed, Yi Chen looked around and noticed that Thunder Freer was preparing for another thunder attack. He understood what he meant, so he attacked towards the masked man again. You are too much. Go away. After being hit on the shoulder by Yi Chen, the masked man's face turned red and then white. It was an expression of anger. He threw out his three-colored fire fist, and a golden flame wave shot up into the sky. Waving his sword, Yi Chen suddenly backed out for dozens of meters. The next second, a tens of meters long, dark blue lightning bolt shot out from Thunder Freer's direction. The lightning bolt was as thick as 2 fingers, and it started from the Thunder Pearl where the 2 light arcs intersected on Thunder Freer's back, and ended at the masked middle-aged man's body. With a loud boom, the masked middle-aged man was blown hundreds of meters away by the dark blue lightning bolt. Along the way, the clouds were burned into a straight line, leaving a trail behind. After landing his first attack, Thunder Freer followed up. The Thunder Pearl on his back continued to prepare, shooting out the second dark blue lightning, which landed on the masked man's body. The masked man had been beaten until he puked out blood. He had underestimated Thunder Freer and Yi Chen. He thought that even if he could not kill Yi Chen, he would still be able to escape unscathed. After all, his cultivation was still there, and his battling power had already been pushed to its limit. Sky Thunder Attack. The color of the armor on his body started to dim down. Thunder Freer took a deep breath and pushed his thunder element Shin Qi, gathering all of the power on the armor into the Thunder Pearl. He threw out the last attack at the cost of the Thunder Pearl exploding, which was also his most powerful attack. Boom! The lightning went straight through the masked man's protective Jin Yuan and pierced through his chest. However, not even a single drop of blood came out. I don't want to die like this. The masked man felt a strong sense of regret. He regretted taking on such a tricky task, regretted not backing out immediately, and regretted underestimating Yi Chen once again. If it were not for Yi Chen, Thunder Freer would not have had the chance to hit him so easily in a one-on-one battle. One wrong move, and everything after that, he would have to pay with his life. Even if I die, one of you will have to die with me. Right then, running away was impossible. The masked man did not care about his fatal wound and burned his Jin Yuan to its peak. His body turned into a flame as he jumped towards Yi Chen, planning to drag one of them down with him before he died. Yi Chen's expression did not change as he performed his separating shadow flying art. As the wind blew, he disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already on the right side of the masked man. He threw out a sword attack, and the kill heart sword chi burst out. Pooh! The masked man's neck twisted, and his eyes lost the color of life. After being attacked for so many times, his battling power had decreased drastically, and he could no longer handle Yi Chen's kill heart sword attack. Seeing the death of the masked man with his own eyes, Yi Chen let out a heavy breath of blood chi. The side effect of the minor blood demon body separating great art was extremely huge. It was all thanks to the blood sunflower that he was able to last until now. However, the blood sunflower could only make up for one side of the side effect, since the chi and blood of the flesh were different from Jin chi. It was not as simple as using a little bit to make up for it. There was still an extremely complicated conversion process involved. After releasing the minor blood demon body separating great art, Yi Chen's face was extremely pale, and he looked a bit exhausted. After swallowing a soul-replenishing pellet, Yi Chen looked over at Thunder Freer, who seemed to be in a slightly better condition than him. That Sky Thunder attack had used up a lot of his Jin Chi, and he was currently swallowing pellets to replenish his Jin Chi. The two looked at each other and forced a smile. Killing a peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior was way more difficult than they had expected. The higher the cultivation, the harder it would be to kill. Chapter 295. Luo Xinglia and the rest of the people had just woken up from their stupor. They were all shocked. 2 astral-reaching realm warriors had been killed just like that, and it had only been a short while. Plus, both of them were killed by Yi Chen, although the second masked man was mainly killed by Thunder Freer. Senior Thunder Freer, Yi Chen, let's go back to the Windy Eagles first. It was not a good place to stay, so Luo Xinglia suggested. All right. Thunder Freer did not reject either. The Zhen Qi that he had lost would not be recovered in a short period of time, and he would need to rest for a while. Waiting for Thunder Freer and Yi Chen to get on, a group of Windy Eagles carried everyone and flew far away. After a couple of hours, Thunder Freer opened his eyes and blew out a breath towards the incoming strong wind. The breath was extremely powerful, and the strong wind dissipated in an instant. Turning his head, he looked at Yi Chen and laughed, "Little brat, a scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at in a new light. This is the first time I, Old Lei, admire someone." In this true spirit continent, only the powerful ones were respected. This rule was everywhere. When one person was way more powerful than the other, even if they had a good relationship, there would still be a subtle relationship between the two, since the gap was still a gap. For someone who was not powerful enough, would you be friends with him? Laugh and yell? Joke around? It was obviously not realistic, since there would always be one person who would be the leader, and that person would usually be the most powerful one. In the past, Thunder Freer would always call himself Thunder Freer when he met someone from the younger generation, but this time, he called himself Old Thunder. The reason was simple, because Yi Chen's attacking power was already at the same level as his, and the gap was very small. Plus, Yi Chen was a disciple of the martial institution that Cloud Dreamer was in, so calling him Old Thunder would be more intimate, just like how he liked to call Cloud Dreamer the Old Ghost. Senior Thunder Freer, you are flattering me. Yi Chen was just lucky to have found a secret martial art that could increase his attacking power. Yi Chen said. Secret martial arts are also a part of one's power. Otherwise, why would warriors need to run into all kinds of things? Not to mention this, is this secret martial art the minor blood demon separating great art? Thunder Freer asked through his Jin Yuan. Yi Chen hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, yes. No wonder. I was wondering why it looked so familiar. It turns out to be Master Blood Demon's ultimate technique. Thunder Freer continued, you are different from Master Blood Demon. He has the Blood Demon clone to provide him with his chi and blood, which allows him to continuously perform the minor Blood Demon body separating great art, or even the even more horrifying Major Blood Demon body separating great art. However, you need to use your own chi and blood to perform the minor Blood Demon body separating great art, which is even scarier than the Major Blood Demon body separating great art. But, you need to use your own chi and blood to perform the minor Blood Demon body separating great art, so it is inevitable that you will get injured. Plus, this kind of thing can easily attract attention. If Master Blood Demon notices you, me, you, and Cloud Dreamer, the three of us together would not even be able to defeat one of his fingers. It was indeed the secret martial art of the Blood Demon. In fact, Yi Chen had already suspected it, since the minor Blood Demon body separating great art and the Major Blood Demon body separating great art were way too similar. After hearing what Thunder Freer had just said, he could finally confirm it. As for the power of the Blood Demon, Yi Chen did not doubt it at all. Among the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 Ghost Cult, the Blood Demon was one of the top ones, way more powerful than the Corpse Man, Senior, don't worry. Unless it is a critical moment, Yi Chen knows what to do. Yi Chen nodded. If it were not for the fact that his life would be in danger, he would have been hesitant to perform the minor Blood Demon body separating great art. The Sky Cloud Martial School of the Windy Nation was too far away from the Hidden Dragon ancient city. After 2 whole months, the group finally arrived at the Sky Cloud Martial School on the Wind Eagles. The leader is back. Brother Yi is here too. Brother Yi has been training for more than a year. I wonder what level he has reached now. There were a lot of disciples in the Sky Cloud Martial School every day. Raising their heads, they could see a group of wind eagles flying towards the main mountain. On the plaza outside the palace, a lot of inner elders had heard the news and ran out to congratulate Yi Chen. Beside them were many outer elders, core disciples, and inner disciples. Welcome, leader, welcome, Senior Thunder Freer. Luo Xinglia landed on the ground first, waved his hand and said, everyone, come to the palace, I have something to announce. Inside the spacious palace, there were a lot of people. Luo Xinglia was sitting on the main seat, while Yi Chen was standing right next to him. As for Thunder Freer, he had already gone to find Cloud Dreamer, as he was not interested in these things at all. Clearing his throat, Luo Xinglia opened his mouth and said, the reason why I gathered you all here is to tell you about the Hidden Dragon rank. Brother Yi must have made it into the rank. Otherwise, the leader would not make such a big announcement. It must be. Brother Yi was already the know. One warrior among the young generation of the 9 nations 1.5 years ago. After 1 year, his power must have improved a lot. I wonder what his rank is now. Inside the palace, everyone was discussing. They kept looking at Yi Chen, who was standing right next to Luo Xinglia. This time, 2 disciples of our Sky Cloud Martial School have made it into the Hidden Dragon rank. One is a core disciple, Su Jing, and the other is indeed Yi Chen. After the palace quieted down for a while, Luo Xinglia started to announce the result. Most of the people were not surprised at the result. Su Jing's power was obvious to all. Even Luo Hanshan and Zhu Mei, the 2 core disciples, could not even last 3 attacks from her. And Yi Chen was even more powerful than Su Jing. Therefore, it would be surprising if he was not in the Hidden Dragon rank. Su Jing is ranked 19. Seeing everyone's shocked eyes, Luo Xinglia smiled and continued, Yi Chen, ranked, first in the Hidden Dragon rank. What? Brother Yi is the number 1 of the Hidden Dragon rank? Although Brother Yi is indeed powerful, I remember that the champion of the last hidden dragon rank was Xikongsheng, the second was Yan Qihua, and the fourth was Li Daoxian. These three already had the power to compete with peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warriors 3 years ago. After 3 years, no peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warriors would be able to compete with them. No matter how much Brother Yi has improved, he would not be able to beat them, right? Did they not participate? Everyone was shocked, their faces were full of disbelief. One of the inner masters asked confusedly, "Leader, did something happen to this year's hidden dragon rank?" He was trying to ask if Xikongsheng and the rest of them could not participate because of something. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain the fact that Yi Chen had won the number 1 title. Luo Xinglie said with a smile on his face, "Yes, something had happened. The change is that Yi Chen had beaten all of the top young warriors from the last hidden dragon rank, including Lin Yun, Li Daoxian, Yan Qihua, and Xikongsheng. He had made it to the number 1 of the hidden dragon rank. Not only that, he had also opened the hidden dragon secret realm, which had not appeared for thousands of years, breaking the record of the hidden dragon rank." Gasp! Hearing him, everyone in the palace gasped. Yi Chen had beaten all of the top young warriors from the last hidden dragon rank and made it to the number 1 of the hidden dragon rank. In other words, his power had already reached the peak of the clasping Yuan realm. In the Sky Cloud Martial School, he was only below the Great Master. As for the hidden dragon secret realm, they did not know much about it. However, the 1,000-year record had shocked them again. The record was not that easy to break. Reaching the height of the South River region, there might not be anyone who could break it within 100 years. And what Yi Chen had broken was the 1,000-year record of the South River region. What kind of concept was this? Is this real? There were still people who did not believe it and mumbled. Luo Xinglie was not happy. "Do you think I would lie to you?" Knowing that this matter could not be fake, the way everyone looked at Yi Chen had changed. It was now filled with admiration and respect. Indeed, it was respect. Yi Chen's status had changed drastically. He was no longer a simple disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School, but an existence just below the Great Master. He was the number 1 martial genius of the South River region. With so much glory gathered on him, it would be his own problem if he was no longer worthy of their respect. Congratulations, Brother Yi. In the palace, all of the core and inner disciples held their fists together and bowed to Yi Chen, including Zhang Haran and Wu Ming. One of them was a core disciple, and the other was an inner disciple. Their status had improved a lot, but unfortunately, compared to Yi Chen, they were like fireflies. Especially for Zhang Haran, his expression changed a couple of times before he finally calmed down. His fighting spirit would not diminish, but it was obviously not suitable for him to keep looking at Yi Chen as his goal, since Yi Chen was a couple of levels lower than him. When he was still an inner disciple, Yi Chen was already the number 1 among the young generation in the 9 nations. After he became a core disciple, Yi Chen became the number 1 among the young generation in the South River region. He could not imagine what would happen when he reached the clasping Yuan realm. Yi Chen felt a bit emotional. He raised his hand and said, "Don't be so polite. I am still a disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School. It will not change now, and it will not change in the future." Luo Xinglie glanced at Yi Chen with a smile, then said to everyone in the palace, "All right, everyone now knows the situation. You can go now." After a while, when everyone had left, Luo Xinglie said to Yi Chen, "Yi Chen, I will take you to the base of the Sky Cloud Martial School." "Yes, leader." In less than 1 day, almost 10,000 people in the Sky Cloud Martial School had heard about the news of Yi Chen winning the number 1 hidden dragon rank. They all had their mouths wide open, unable to believe it. I did not believe it at the time either. But since the leader had said it, it must be true. I could not believe that our Sky Cloud Martial School would have a number 1 martial genius in the South River region. Fortunately, I am also a disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Otherwise, I would not have been able to share this honor. I heard that the hidden dragon ranking is related to luck. Brother Yi is the number one. Doesn't that mean that we will also benefit from luck? Indeed. As long as we work hard in the future, we will be able to get twice the results with half the effort. My cousin is still hesitating about which martial institution to join. Now that Brother Yi has won the number one hidden dragon rank, he would definitely fight to join. Then tell him to do it as soon as possible. Soon, the whole Windy Nation will know about it. By then, the number of young people joining the Sky Cloud Martial School will be beyond imagination. If he is late, he will not have the chance anymore. Thanks for the reminder. I will ask for leave now and tell my people about this. My uncle is going to join the Emerald Martial Palace and become the outer master of the Emerald Martial Palace. I will go stop him now. It would be great to join the Sky Cloud Martial School. He would be lucky. Within one day, countless people had asked for leave, which made the master in charge very busy. But of course, it was with a smile on his face. In front of the martial skill pavilion, the master who was guarding the pavilion touched his beard after hearing the news. He forced a smile and said, "What kind of monster is he?" He could still vaguely remember that Yi Chen was only 14 or 15 years old. He had a handsome face and looked very young. The first time he had met him was when he was training the Lone Peak 13 swords. He did not think that Yi Chen would be able to successfully train the Lone Peak 13 swords, but he did. As time went by, the handsome teenager was no longer there. He had grown into a young man, and his status had also increased. He had become the number one martial genius of the South Rudra region, and had dominated the young generation of the South Rudra region. 3 to 4 years had passed so fast. Chapter 296. When Yi Chen and Su Jing arrived at the base of the Sky Cloud Martial School under Luo Xinglia's lead, the dragon fountain chi that had been hidden in their bloodlines suddenly jumped out and drilled into the ground like a dragon diving into the ocean. After about 10 breaths of time, hundreds of miles around the Sky Cloud Martial School started to gather. Dragon roars and tiger roars could be vaguely heard in the air and underground, which was a sign that the dragon fountain chi was extremely abundant. There was a small dragon fountain under the Windy Mountain where the Sky Cloud Martial School was located. In fact, all the top-rank martial institutions would choose to build their martial institutions in places with dragon fountains. That way, they would be able to develop better and better. For example, the dragon fountain under the rank 7 martial institution, the Emerald Martial Valley, was much bigger than the Sky Cloud Martial School. It used to be the place where the rank 6 martial institution, the Mountain and Water Pavilion, was built. Unfortunately, after the Mountain and Water Pavilion was destroyed, the Dragon Fountain Chi had been lost a lot. They had to rely on the 1,000 mountains and rivers layout to leave some. Even so, the Dragon Fountain Chi that was left behind was still more than all the martial institutions in the Windy Nation combined. Right now, Yi Chen and Su Jing's Dragon Fountain Chi poured into the Dragon Fountain of the Windy Mountain, and it immediately started to cleanse the Dragon Fountain. It also started to help the Dragon Fountain to gather the Earth Chi from tens of thousands of miles around and strengthen itself. The gathering of Earth Chi was way too loud, and the Dragon Fountain could not control it at all. Only Yi Chen's Dragon Fountain Chi could suppress it, and Su Jing's Dragon Fountain Chi could only support it. After a long time, the abundant Dragon Fountain Chi gradually stabilized. One big and one small Dragon Fountain Chi broke out of the ground and merged into Yi Chen's and Su Jing's bodies respectively. As soon as the Chi of the Dragon Vein entered his body, Yi Chen immediately felt that the Chi of the Dragon Vein had increased and established a vague connection with the Dragon Vein of the Windy Mountain. Carefully sensing it, Yi Chen found that there was a trace of his Chi of the Dragon Vein left in the Windy Mountain Dragon Vein. This trace of Chi of the Dragon Vein did not play a dominant role, but it could suppress the newly added Earth Chi. Meanwhile, Su Jing's Chi of the Dragon Vein wandered around, taming the more violent earth chi and driving away some evil earth chi, maintaining the purity of the windy mountain dragon vein. Everyone from the Sky Cloud Martial School, who was staying in the windy mountain or the surrounding mountains, seemed to be thinking about something. Their minds suddenly became clearer, and some of the tiny distracting thoughts that were hindering their cultivation were being washed away by the invisible power. They felt much more relaxed. Behind the Qingfeng mountain was a mountain peak that pierced through the clouds. There were two people sitting on the mountain peak. One of them was wearing white robes with purple edges. He looked to be in his 60s, and looked very peaceful. The other one was the middle-aged Thunder Freer. "Old man, I don't know what kind of luck your Sky Cloud Martial School had in your last life, to have such a talented true dragon like Yi Chen. As long as he is alive, the Sky Cloud Martial School will continue to prosper." Thunder Freer poured himself a glass of wine and drank it all. Cloud Dreamer smiled and said, "The world is unpredictable, and so is the luck. Who said that a normal place cannot have a true dragon? A true dragon can be big or small, it can rise or hide. There can be a true dragon anywhere. This true dragon is too powerful." With his late clasping Yuan realm cultivation, he was able to kill an early astral reaching realm warrior. If we give him some time, I am afraid that even you and I will be surpassed by him. I don't know what you are going to do with him. Being a core disciple is obviously not suitable. Thunder Freer asked. Cloud Dreamer hesitated for a while. How about making him a master? Master, it is such a waste. Even if he is a core master, so what? He is a true dragon, how can he be under someone else? Even if he wants to, he can't do it. I am talking about the Great Master. Great Master? Thunder Freer opened his eyes wide. You are not joking, are you? Isn't there a rule in the Sky Cloud Martial School that if one does not reach the astral reaching realm, one cannot be a Great Master? Cloud Dreamer shook his head. Rules are made by people. Since they are made by people, they can be changed. I believe that even if all the ancestors of the Sky Cloud Martial School were alive, they would not object to it. That's true. A true dragon is something that others can't even wait to worship. Giving him the position of Supreme Elder is not a big deal. Moreover, Supreme Elder doesn't need to manage anything, which suits Yi Chen even more. The other positions are somewhat inappropriate. After thinking about it carefully, Thunder Freer felt that Cloud Dreamer's words were not groundless. He had probably planned for this a long time ago. Cloud Dreamer suddenly lifted up his head. Thousands of miles high up in the sky, the clouds were clouds, and the wind was the wind. From the surface, nothing seemed to be out of place. However, as he used his mental power to check, he immediately realized that the natural Yuan Qi was gathering towards the Sky Cloud Martial School. Besides that, there was an undercurrent under the ground, along with vague dragon roars and tiger roars. It is done. Cloud Dreamer let out a deep breath. He was extremely energetic. Thunder Freer put down his wine cup. I am thinking about whether or not I should join your Sky Cloud Martial School. You should not mind being a great master, right? Cloud Dreamer said, Not yet. I am out in the open, and you are in the dark. There are some things that I need you to take care of. I cannot move easily. Plus, there is no need to rush. You saved Yi Chen's life back then, so you have already been blessed with luck. It would not be any worse than being a great master in the Sky Cloud Martial School. You think I am the hired fighter of the Sky Cloud Martial School? Thunder Freer laughed. Slowly standing up, Cloud Dreamer said, I will be right back. In the main mountain's palace, Luo Xinglia, the headmaster, Su Jing and Yi Chen were standing in the middle of the palace. A human shadow flashed past the back door of the palace. A young elder wearing white robes with purple edges walked out. He smiled slightly, looking very peaceful. Great Master. Luo Xinglia and the headmaster said with respect. Hearing him, Su Jing and Yi Chen also held their fists together. Great Master, greetings. Cloud Dreamer waved his hand. Yi Chen, Su Jing, you two have done a great job. No matter what happens in the future, you will still be the biggest contributors to the Sky Cloud Martial School. I am here to discuss something with you. I do not want to make it too big. Only the 5 of us need to know about it. Yi Chen said, Great Master, please go ahead. Su Jing, you have trained a body-strengthening art. Although you are only at the early clasping Yuan realm, you have the power to fight against late clasping Yuan realm warriors. I have discussed with the leader and decided to give you the position of a core master. What do you think? Su Jing did not hesitate. Thank you, Great Master and leader. Su Jing will accept it. Since she was willing to share the fortune with the Sky Cloud Martial School, she would naturally not want to leave the school. Being a core master was not a big deal, since she would be part of the Sky Cloud Martial School anyway. I am glad to hear your decision. Although Cloud Dreamer had expected that Su Jing would accept it, he was still very happy. In the South Rudra region, there were not many martial geniuses like Su Jing. She would be able to surpass him in the future and become the real pillar of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Clearing his throat, Cloud Dreamer looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen, are you willing to be the Great Master of the Sky Cloud Martial School? Yi Chen was a bit surprised. Great Master. Yi Chen is still not qualified enough. It does not seem to be suitable. Luo Xinglia said, Yi Chen, the Great Master is all about power. Qualifications do not mean much. Plus, with your current cultivation, reaching the astral reaching realm is only a matter of time. Why don't you confirm it now so that you can focus on your own things? Since the Great Master and the leader think that I can do it, then I will do it. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen nodded. Good. That would be great. Cloud Dreamer studied Su Jing and Yi Chen, then laughed. Don't worry. The school will not restrict you. You can do whatever you want. The Sky Cloud Martial School will not interfere too much. I only hope that when the Sky Cloud Martial School is in danger, you can help us. Of course. Yi Chen and Su Jing nodded at the same time. His fingers swept across the storage ring. Cloud Dreamer took out 2 tags and handed them to Su Jing and Yi Chen respectively. These are the Core Master tags and the Great Master tags. Although they are just symbols, it would be best if you don't lose them. After all, only the 5 of us know your real identities, so they might be of some use to you. Taking over the tags, Yi Chen said, in the next few days, I will go back to the Yi family to take a look, then I will stay in the Sky Cloud Martial School to train. Alright, I have already prepared a mountain for you two to train. No one will disturb you. Waiting until Su Jing and Yi Chen left, Cloud Dreamer and the other 2 looked at each other and smiled. Now that everything had been settled, they could finally let out a breath. The next day, Yi Chen rode the Wind Eagle and flew towards the Yi family in the Luo city. The Wind Eagle could travel 20,000 miles a day. Within a day, Yi Chen arrived outside the Luo city. Without stopping, Yi Chen drove the Wind Eagle and flew towards the Yi family's area, which made people in the city gasp in shock. In the Yi family. It was rare for Yi Batian to come back to the Yi family. As an inner elder of the Purple Sun Martial School, because of the fact that a genius like Yi Chen had appeared in his family, he had become the enemy of the Purple Sun Martial School. Because of this, he had been pushed aside by the other inner elders a lot. He had been holding back his anger for a long time. He didn't know if it was because of Yi Chen, or because of what he had been through. Either way, he was not happy. Father, that's a Wind Eagle. His eldest son, Yi Feng, also came back with Yi Batian. He was already at the mid-condensing reality realm. Normally, his talent was not that bad, it could be considered as above average. However, things were different now. His mid-condensing reality realm cultivation could no longer attract any attention. Yi Batian raised his head, sneered, and said, "This is the Yi family, people from the Sky Cloud Martial School dare to come here on a Wind Eagle. They are not taking me seriously at all. Get down. Yi Badian reached out his right hand. His Jin Qi surged up and created a strong suction force. Whoosh! A fierce gale started blowing, and the wind eagle started shaking. Yi Chen, who was covered by the wind eagle, stood up. Seeing Yi Badian's attack, he frowned and waved his right hand, cutting off the suction force. Yi Chen. Yi Badian squinted his eyes. Yi Feng plucked up his courage and said, Yi Chen, why don't you come down and greet my father? It had only been 2 days since Yi Chen came back to the Windy Nation. What happened in the Hidden Dragon ancient city had not been spread out yet. Only a few people in the martial world knew about it. In Yi Feng's eyes, Yi Chen was only at the peak level early clasping Yuan realm or mid clasping Yuan realm at most. There was still a huge gap between him and his father, Yi Badian. Yi Chen remained expressionless. Greetings, uncle. After saying that, he rode the wind eagle and flew towards the plaza of the Yi family. How dare you! Yi Badian yelled. He was a bit surprised that Yi Chen had cut off his palm attack. However, he had reached the late clasping Yuan realm for a long time, and was one of the most powerful inner elders in the Purple Sun Martial School. How could he let Yi Chen look down on him? Enraged, he threw out a palm attack, trying to show his power. Chapter 297. Feeling the sharp fist power coming right at him, Yi Chen threw out a punch without even turning his head. He had performed the first movement of the 5 mountain godly fist art, 5 mountain consolidating shapes. The bright yellow halo formed into a shadow of a mountain. The shadow vibrated, and the air collapsed. Yi Badian's fist power didn't even reach 10 meters before it was shattered. Boom! The courtyard that Yi Badian was in was flattened, and a huge fist mark appeared in front of him. It was 5 meters deep. Yi Badian could not stop his body. He backed out for dozens of steps, his face pale. As for Yi Feng, he had already been blown hundreds of meters away by the fist wind. He was dizzy from the impact. In the air, Yi Chen's voice was heard. I respect you as my uncle, so I will let bygones be bygones. But it does not mean that you can do whatever you want in front of me. Some things should be kept to yourself. Yi Badian's face kept changing. At the same time, he was shocked by Yi Chen's power. A casual punch from him had pushed him back for dozens of steps without giving him any chance to fight back. Perhaps he had reached the late clasping Yuan realm. No matter whether he wanted to admit it or not, martial geniuses were almost invincible among warriors at the same cultivation level. All of a sudden, Yi Badian looked like he had aged 10 years. If his biggest advantage was not even worth mentioning, then what would be left? Father has been beaten. Yi Feng awkwardly crawled up and looked around at the courtyard that had been razed to the ground. He saw Yi Badian's expression drastically change, and his face was filled with disbelief. The last thing he had relied on in his heart had been destroyed, and his pride had been crushed. This kind of blow made his heart feel empty, and his eyes had lost all of their previous spirit. On the plaza of the Yi family, people from the Yi family had already arrived after hearing the commotion. Chen Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were walking in front of the crowd. Shen Yuqing was even holding 2 beautiful babies in his arms. Yi Chen turned around and smiled, Father. Mother. Yi Tianhao, who was still smiling, gave Yi Chen a bear hug. Finally, you are back. Yeah. Yi Chen nodded slightly. What happened to your uncle? How could Yi Tianhao not know that Yi Chen had razed Yi Badian's courtyard to the ground with a single punch? At the same time, he was also worried that Yi Chen would kill Yi Badian. After all, Yi Badian had never done anything to harm his family, so he didn't deserve to die. Yi Chen said, Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Tianhao, don't you know Chen-er's character? He's not someone who kills indiscriminately. Shen Yuqing's eyes were slightly moist, and he immediately said, What are you talking about here? Come into the hall. Ya. It seemed that Yi Chen had an amiable temperament. The two babies in Shen Yuqing's arms wriggled their bodies slightly. Their big black eyes were filled with joy. They looked straight at Yi Chen and made vague sounds from their mouths. Mother, this must be my younger brother and sister. Let me hold them. Yi Chen carefully took his younger brother and sister from Shen Yuqing's arms and let them lie in his arms in a comfortable way. Ha! As soon as they were in Yi Chen's arms, the two little guys laughed adorably. Their chubby cheeks were pressed against Yi Chen's chest, looking very intimate. Shen Yuqing smiled and said, "They like you very much. It seems that they like you more than me and your father." Yi Chen followed Shen Yuqing into the hall and asked, "Mother, what are my younger brother and sister's names?" "Your younger brother is called Yi Xian, and your younger sister is called Yi Xiaoxiao." "Hey! The two little guys are asleep." Yi Chen looked down and saw that his younger brother and sister had both closed their eyes. Their mouths were slightly open, revealing a pair of baby teeth. Coupled with the blush on their cheeks, they looked extremely cute. In the hall, Yi Chen was holding the two babies in his arms. He looked no different from the handsome boy next door. However, after everyone had heard the news about the hidden dragon rank from him, they all looked up at him, who was standing in the clouds, the number one warrior of the young generation in the South Rudra region. Number one in the hidden dragon rank. The Yi family is so lucky. An elder from the Yi family yelled out with tears running down his face. Yi Tianhao was also shocked by Yi Chen's words. In fact, Yi Chen's ranking in the hidden dragon rank had already shocked him, but the number one in the hidden dragon rank had made him blank out for a short period of time. He could not even say a word. What did the hidden dragon rank represent? Everyone knew that it was the biggest competition in the South Rudra region. It was the competition that the young generation of the South Rudra region had to fight for. It would not be easy to get out of the competition. However, Yi Chen had not only gotten out of the competition, but he had also pushed all of the top young warriors aside and walked to the top of the South Rudra region by himself. If Yi Chen came from a famous family or a famous martial institution, it would not be shocking at all. However, he was obviously from a family in a small country in the South Rudra region. He was not even one of the top warriors in the Windy Nation, and his background was not even worth mentioning in the outside world. Compared to those rank 6 martial institution disciples, it was like the difference between an ant and an elephant. Besides that, everyone from the Yi family had the same feeling. The Yi family was an unranked family, and Yi Chen had turned from a mediocre person to a real dragon. The combination of the two had created a legend that belonged to ordinary people. They had no doubt that when the news of Yi Chen winning the first place in the hidden dragon rank spread out, it would cause a huge sensation. Perhaps the whole martial world of the Windy Nation would be boiling, and the whole martial world of the South Rudra region would be boiling. Well done. Yi Tianhao slapped heavily on Yi Chen's shoulder, his eyes filled with tears. His body did not shake, as Yi Chen did not want to wake his brother and sister up. In fact, the noise in the hall did not even reach his brother and sister's ears, as they were all blocked out by his Jin Qi. Yi Chen said, "Father, I told you before that I would not let you down. Indeed, you did not let me down. I am proud of you, and the Yi family is proud of you." As the leader of the Yi family, Yi Tianhao had been under a lot of pressure. He was afraid that the Yi family would fall in his hands, and he was afraid that he would not live up to his father's expectations. But now, all of that pressure was gone, because his son was even more powerful than him, 100 times more powerful. The humiliation and gossip when he was young did not defeat him. Instead, it made him stand up and shine brighter than the sun. Outside the hall, Yi Batian stood there in a daze, and next to him was Yi Feng, who had a blank face. The father and son were like outsiders. They could not feel the surprise, nor could they feel the warmth of the family, because all of those things had been killed by them. In their minds, all of the things that they had done in the past had been so ridiculous, so fragile. Yi Chen glanced at Yi Batian and Yi Feng, who were standing outside the hall. He did not pay much attention to them. There was still a chance for them to repent, but if they lost this chance, there would be no more. The Yi family he wanted was a united Yi family, not a Yi family that was always fighting against each other. Anyone or anything that stood in the way of unity would be crushed by him. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.